Good afternoon, students. Today we will start a new chapter, that is fundamental concepts. In the fundamental concepts, we will discuss about the state, government, nation, and nationality. Now, first of all, let us discuss that what is a state. Now, according to the definition given by Aristotle, state is an association of families and villages having for its end a happy and prosperous living, a self-sufficient existence. But that was during the time of Aristotle, who usually is talking about the city-states. Lasky says that state is a territorial society divided into government and subjects, claiming within its allotted physical area a supremacy over all other institutions. So a state is above all other institutions. No other institution is above the state. State is the only organ which is considered to be sovereign. No other organization, institution, corporation, school, anything cannot be considered as sovereign. Only state is sovereign. Now today we know that state and government are the basic objects of study in political science. Word state has been derived from the Latin word which means status, which means a political or a social position. Now you see, to be a state, it must have certain elements. Otherwise, you cannot call it as a state. A state must have the four elements. One is population, next is territory, next is government, and the last is, and the most important is, sovereignty. Before 1947, India had a territory, had a government, had a population, but India did not have sovereignty because we were then being ruled by the Britishers. So when a country is interfered by any external agency or an organ, it cannot be said to be a sovereign state. But when India became free in 1947, India became a sovereign nation. According to our constitution, the preamble states that we, the people of India, having solemnly resolved to constitute India into a sovereign, socialist, secular, democratic and republic. Now we have to discuss all the four elements. That is, first is population. Now there is no such thing as to be ideal population. Population can be overpopulated or a country can be underpopulated. Overpopulated and underpopulated depends upon the resources that a country has to support its population. A country like India, that means in simple term, if a country do not have sufficient resource to afford its population, to maintain its population, then it is said to be overpopulated. When a country has enough resources but the population is less, then it is said to be underpopulated. It is said to be underpopulated. So there is no such fixed figure that can be determined to be called as an ideal state. There are big states like India, China. There are small states like Switzerland, Canada. But Canada is one of the biggest countries in the world. But you see, the population is very less. So it is not important that the country is big or small. If it has sufficient resources to withstand its population, then it is said to be okay. It is not overpopulated or underpopulated. Now, all the people living within the state are known as its citizens. But there are some people who are not citizens of India, who come to a country for a certain purpose. Like now you see IPL matches are going on. So many foreign players are playing for different teams. Then you have several students coming from different countries of the world to study in Indian universities. So many businessmen are there. People are working, doing job. and overall tourist. Now these people, they come here for a certain for a particular period of time, and they will be known as aliens. Similarly, when we, the Indians, we will go to other countries, we will be considered as aliens. But in a country, whoever lives, whether a citizen or an alien, all will have to follow the rules of the state. Because the state is sovereign, so all person, as citizen as well as alien, who are living in the territory of the state are duty bound to obey the laws and policies of the state. So everyone is bound to follow or obey. They are duty bound, that means they must obey the rules and regulations of the state, and the state exercises the supreme authority over them through its government. Now, dear students, let me tell you again and again, I have said before also, that state is an abstract. A state has no hands, no legs, it cannot function. But in the name of the state, it is the government which carries out the function of the state. In contemporary time, the government of the state is organized and constituted by the people and is responsible and accountable to them. Now, in a democratic state, we elect our own representative, and on behalf of us, they make the laws. And we, the citizen who have elected our representative, we will obey the laws made by our representatives. There is no definite limit for the number of the state. Now, it depends upon the standard of living. If the state is big enough to afford its population, then the state is said to be underpopulated. So there is no such fixed figure to determine that whether a state is overpopulated or underpopulated. Next, we have another feature, that is the territory. Now every country, in every person's house has a territory. In your house you must have a boundary line. Every state has a boundary line. Every district has a boundary line. In this way, every territory, that means every country, must have a boundary line. A territorial unit of entity. Definite territory is an essential component, because neither we can enter into anybody's state nor others can come to our state. Now, a state cannot exist in the air or at sea. It is essentially a territorial state. The size of the territory of the state can be big or small. Nevertheless, it has to be definite and well marked. So a state can be big or small, but it must be well marked. States like Russia, Canada, USA, India, China, Brazil and some other are very, very big countries. Whereas Nepal, Bhutan, Sri Lanka, Maldives, Switzerland, Togo, Brunei and several others are very small territories. The whole territory of the state is under the sovereignty. That means the entire state is under the control of the state. Now again I repeat that state is not a human entity, so it will be controlled by the government. The state will be controlled by the government. So all persons, organization, association, institution and places located within its territory are under the sovereign jurisdiction of the state. The state can regulate all these in all respect. Further, it must be noted that the territory of the state include not only the land but also the air above, the water surrounding the rivers, lake, canal, inland seas, if any, a portion of the coastal sea, territorial waters or the Mediterranean belt, continental shelf, mountain, hills and all other land features along with airspace above the country is also. Even the group of islands, if it has any, like we have the Andaman, Nicobar and the Lakshadweep Island. The territory of the state can also include some islands located in the sea. For example, we have the Andaman and Nicobar Island, the New Moor Islands are all part of India. State exercises sovereignty over its part. Now at the same time, our ships are our floating property. Our aeroplanes are our flying property. So anybody causing any harm to our ships or our aeroplane will be considered as a direct attack on us. Now even a state can lease out its territory to another state. Lease out means for the time being it can be used by another country if the country concerned gives permission. Like India has leased out its territory to another state, like India has given on lease her 3 Bigha corridor to Bangladesh. So India has leased the 3 Bigha corridor to Bangladesh. So today we will do with the number 1 is territory and number 1 is population and number 2 is territory. Next day again we will continue in the class or in the video. Till then, all of you take care of yourself, stay safe, stay healthy, goodbye.